Now, so this event, here's the full agenda. I told you we're gonna hear after that Graham and Vehab Gupta, and at the end we're gonna do a 25-minute panel. If you have questions, because I'm sure you will, please keep them, write them down for the panel, because you'll have the opportunity to ask your questions to the presenters. During the panel, we will have Sam, Graham, and Vehab, as well as Pamela here, with whom we're going to be able to talk about coding engines and ask those questions. Let me present the team. So I'm Cedric Vidal. I co-organize the event. I am an AI advocate at Microsoft, and I'm co-organizing with Aditi. Aditi over there, no? Where are you? Oh, with Aditi here, and with Zinab also. I don't know where she is, over there. So please applaud them for helping organize the event. And today, so I presented already Sam, Graham, and Vehab. This event is part of the Global AI community. It's a worldwide community of AI events, and we are part of the San Francisco chapter. So please, and when you signed up for the event, you also agreed to join the community. Please go check it out. We have a lot of cool events in many cities around the world. Being part of Azure, of Microsoft, I can't avoid talking to you about Azure AI Foundry, which is one of the Microsoft main products. Please, if you have questions and want to discuss about what we do, those are 2 QR codes that will get you to the GitHub discussions and to our Discord. To present Microsoft for Startup, who's sponsoring the event tonight. Thank you, Rob.
Hey. Test. Oh, this was one working. It's working. I will be so quick. Hey, I'm Rob. I paid for the pizza.
Thank you, Rob.
And I'll give you guys a bunch of free credits if you go to startups.microsoft.com. If you're you can use these credits without having to have investor backing or anything else. You can actually just use it as an individual if you're thinking about starting a startup. So it's a great way to get onboarded into Azure and use AI models. You can also use your Azure subscription to pay for things like GitHub Copilot, which I feel like nobody knows about. So please use it for all the different things. If you're interested in telling me about your startup, or you want to know more about how Microsoft works for startups, I'll be around, and feel free to come talk to me, or you can find me on LinkedIn. It's another Microsoft product, and I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks, guys.
A bit of publicity for our next event next month on September 2nd, where we have 2 speakers confirmed. Sasha Mora, co-founder at Edgy, and Jason Corkill, founder at Rapid Data. And the theme of that event will be AI data collection and GPU AI acceleration at the edge. Please, a warm welcome to our first speaker, Sam. Sam, please.
Hi, everyone. So today I will tell you how to use isolated environments with coding agents, and in particular, how to run different experiments without breaking your dev environments. So first of all, I'm Sam. A few years ago, I spent a few years at a company called Docker. We were doing containers already back in the days, and I built and ran several engineering teams there. And in 2019, I co-founded a new company called Dagger. And Dagger is an open source platform that lets you build software engineering workflows. So think about anything that you need to test your app orchestrate complex deployments, run your tests, etc. And so you can do all of that with Dagger. But today I will actually not. This talk is not about Dagger, but about a project that's called container use. So container use, it's something we started when we started to use coding agents internally at Dagger. And we quickly noticed a problem with coding agent, which is they are actually not running in isolation. And so, well, after we created Docker and actually the whole Dagger API is containerized as well, we thought, well, it's something that we should change. And so quickly we started this project that actually gives isolated environments to agents. And so basically what it changes in the way you use coding CLI or an IDE is you don't have to watch exactly each step one after the other. You can instead start something, prompt something. You can actually launch several agents in parallel and let them do the work, and then at the end introspect what happened. And it's built on top of Dagger, because Dagger is also a generic technology that you can build on top of, and it's also leveraging Git work trees. And it ships as an MCP server, which means that you can use it with anything, Claude, Cursor, Goose, Windsurf, anything that supports MCP, basically. So before showing you a demo, let's talk a bit about what happens without isolation. So usually you start, prompting, you launch your favorite coding CLI. In my case, it's Claude. I like Claude. And you start prompting something. I'm working on my website. I want like a dark theme, for instance. And the agent is doing the work. You look at the result. You wait. And you're like, well, it's not exactly what I wanted. So let's try something else, maybe a different color. Then you continue making some changes and you look at the result again. You're like, well, not exactly what happened. And you have to wait for all of those iterations to be completed. And then the agent works. You review the code, and I'm sure you can imagine where I'm going with this. At some point, you're like, no, actually not what I wanted. And you want to start again, right? So pretty sure if you're using any of those workflows, you probably went through that already. So instead of working using this flow, instead, I'm going to show you something else, basically different way of doing things with environments. So environments really behave like a development environment for your agent. So in that case, I want a different field for my website, and you can actually run several experiments in parallel and let the agent, either one agent using several environments or 3 instances of your agent using each their own environment. And then at the end, you can either accept the changes, so grab the result of the environment, or discard them. And you won't mess up with your local data. So, you want to see a demo? All right. So let's look at the demo. I'm gonna try to. Can you hear me fine? All right. Gonna use this mic. Gonna try to not break anything. All right. So this is a website that I'm working on. I just run a dev environment. This is a website that I actually generated using Claude. It's my blog, my fake blog, even has an about page generated from my LinkedIn profile. It's great, but I actually don't like the color. I'm going to change something. So imagine working on your backend, working on some front end, like all of that works with this flow. So what I'm going to do, actually, before I do that, I scripted this demo in a way that you can redo it yourself. So if you go to samalba/containeruse-demo, you can actually replay that demo yourself, installing container use, so you can reuse that content for your own app. So here I'm going to first, well, instead of using installing the MCP server, I'm going to check that my MCP server is running, so it's connected, properly configured. Great. So I'm going to run Claude with a bunch of options. That's optional, but the idea is I want for that demo to restrict Claude to only using environments. So you can use container use with other MCP servers, or you can also say, if you're concerned about security, basically do not use anything outside of environments. So I'm going to start with a prompt, and I'm running it directly because I don't want to use all of the time for watching Claude doing the work. And while it's doing the work, I'm going to explain what's happening. So let's look at the prompt first. So the prompt says, I want to try some new themes for the website. Can you create 2 new versions of the site in their own environments? One with a dark theme, one with a purple gradient, and run both versions when they're done and give me the URLs. So here, the prompt is interesting. First of all, it mentions in their own environments, right? So I'm going to I'm actually asking Claude to do 2 different things in their own environment. And then not only that, but I want also to run the versions and give me the URL. So all of that will happen inside containers. So nothing will be modified on my machine, and nothing will be also installed or executed on my local machine. So here, for instance, so the usual to-do, if you're familiar with Claude, always some planning. And here I see that instead of the usual file.create, file.read, etc., I see actually special calls that are using container use. So everything happens inside environments. So all of those commands those calls here that you see are actually running inside containers. And if I look at, so I'm switching to another terminal here, and I can see that I have nothing locally. Nothing is modified. So I'm following now what Claude is doing, still working. So now it's actually installing a bunch of things. So it's trying to look for Python. It will actually fix his own mistake. And here I can actually, so Q is a short, an alias for container use. So to go faster, I can just type Q list, and I see here that I have new environments that were just created. One for a purple gradient, one for the dark theme, and even another one that I was testing the environment earlier. Anyway, and so I can actually watch the agent working. So even though everything happens inside the environment, I can follow along. So here I see new changes being made as I speak. So I can leave things there for now, and I think it's almost done. If I look at the to-do list, so it created the dark theme. Now it's working on the purple gradient. It's basically doing a bunch of edits in CSS. Yeah, that my prompt is not really complex, and then later on it will run them. And so again, what I'm doing here, I can actually run it in parallel. I can even use different type of if I want, for instance, if you want to see how cursor is doing in front of Claude or in front of anything else in front of Goose, you can actually run them and they will all use different environments, and then you can expect them using the tool that I just showed. So here it's done. It gives me instructions to inspect the changes. So I'm gonna open the dark theme version, great, and the other one, purple gradient. Oh, great. All right, so now I have 3 versions of my website that were generated. Great, cool. So which one you want to keep? Well, let's keep this one actually. The purple gradient. Yeah, it's more fun. So I can. It actually gives me also. So here, if I want. It doesn't say actually which. Oh yeah, purple gradients. It's the environment called main jawfish. All right, why not? So I'm gonna take this one, and so again I have no change locally, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check out the environment. So grab the result of the environment inside my working copy. And so now I'm on a new branch. And so I have my main branch and my new branch. I can actually inspect the logs. And I see that Claude made a bunch of, CSS edits. So great, I'm going to keep this one. And actually, the other thing I can do is I can delete the other one. So the dark theme, I won't keep it. I can also keep the environment around, even though I did check out. I can actually keep iterating on that one. You can really think of it as a dev environment for your agent. So yeah, that's about it for the change. And the demo worked. It's great. Thank you. Thank you. And so what's next? I'd like to give you some things that you can reuse, actually, because the purpose of that demo was really to show you that first, it's simple, and second, you can actually use it for your own coding CLI. So the first link that I want to share is basically a demo that's a bit more complex, that's using background agents with several instances of an agent with background tasks. So you can watch that demo. It has been done by Kyle from the Dagger team. It's a great demo. And another one that I wanted to show is a guide that we wrote. So you go to containeruse.com, and there is a guide actually for using workflows, basically explaining to you how to work with isolated environments in detail. So that's useful. And then finally, the repository of the demo, so you can replay that yourself on your own. If I went too fast on one part, you can pretty much use Claude and redo that exactly step by step. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening.
Please help me welcome Graham on stage. So a big round of applause for Graham.
Everybody, how's it going? Anybody here use a coding agent? Yeah, I know it's a dumb question. Let's try to get you to participate in the conversation. You know what I mean? So my name is Graham McBain. I am leading DevRel at AMP. Many of you ever used SourceGraph before? Yeah, some? Okay, cool. So SourceGraph's been around for about 10 years. We've been helping companies sort of index and search their code for a long time. It's a big product used by large enterprises, and we've been really excited to build AMP over the last few months. AMP is an AI coding agent that is extremely well loved by a lot of people. And let me just sort of show you a little bit about why it might be different than the coding agents you have used before. A couple things. Does anybody notice like some coding agents maybe changed their pricing? That turned into a bit of a hullabaloo. AMP has sort of from the beginning seen that this might be a problem, and so we have unconstrained token usage. You can use as many tokens as you want. We don't have any plans. You just pay for what you use. We think that's sort of the smartest way to do this because some people want to spend $1,000 a month and some people don't. I personally think that more people should spend more. That's not just good for my business. I just think that's how coding agents are going to work. You get more out of it if you throw more tokens at the problem. Another thing is that we don't really have the like model selector, knob switching, that sort of thing. We have this idea that you shouldn't be, as a developer, spending all of your time configuring how your agent works. Like, I don't know if any of you have ever gone through this problem where you've got like different agent MD or Claude MD files or whatever that is. And so you're spending all your time trying to configure it. We just do that for you. We make really great defaults. We do a lot of great configuring and tooling with you. AMP has multiple different LLMs running in the background. We use sort of Claude Sonnet for one thing. We use O3 for other stuff, now O5. And then we use other models for other things. You shouldn't have to worry about that stuff. It should just work. And that's how AMP really focuses on building a product so that you can move fast and do software engineering, not agent configuration. I don't know that anybody here gets paid for agent configuration. Maybe one or two of you. I don't want to pass judgment. So that's it. We're trying to really keep our product surface really small so we can move really fast. Don't listen to me. I just want to sort of show a few people who really love AMP, and so you could talk about it a little bit. Anybody ever been to an AI Tinkers meetup? If you haven't, they're really great. It's really fun. They do like really cool demos. I saw this guy build. Anyway, I won't go into it. But this is Joe. He is the head of AI Tinkers. And he just spent like $782 on AMP. and is totally stoked with the results. He's running AI Tinkerers himself. It's a huge platform that he built. And he's actually found that it's more fun for him than Claude Code. And he's super happy to spend $780 in 4 weeks on his AMP credits, because it means that he can spend more of his time running his business and less time debugging stuff, because a flat rate coding model maybe dropped him to a lower tier model so that they could save money and not burn tons and tons of dollars. So Joe's great. You should go to his meetups. This is just another thing. AMP ships incredibly fast. If you tweet a problem with AMP, there's a 80% chance that our CEO will see it and fix it and ship that change within an hour. Like we basically test and prod. We go insanely fast. The goal here, these are like recent updates. So like multiple times a day, we're shipping new updates and new features to AMP. So this is something that we're incredibly proud of. I think you all, as I'm guessing software engineers, right? Mostly some degree, technical to some degree. None of us leave our computers. I know what it's like. We don't need to spend time like waiting for a product to, you're never going to use a product if it's going to move slower than you. So you always need your product to be moving faster. And that's one of the core things we really focus on, is we're never not shipping, even on the weekends. We actually see our highest spike in usage on the weekends, which is really funny. And then that next week we get a call from someone who's like, hey, my boss was using AMP over the weekend and he wants me to, anyway, it's a really funny paradigm of how this works. It's a really powerful tool. We built it for the best developers, but we don't just want the best developers to use it. This is John Rainey. He's one of our sales guys, and he golfs because he's the sales guy. And so he built himself his own swing analyzer as an iOS app. And he's like, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but it actually works, and it's made his golf swing better. So I think that's super fun. This is Mitchell Hashimoto from HashiCorp. We just hired this guy, Tim Culverhouse, who is like the most insane terminal UI developer that you've ever seen in your life. So we've got a Claude, or AMP is available as both a VS Code extension and in the terminal. And we're super stoked to have Tim. Today was his first day. And so if you're a CLI agent person, you're going to have the best possible experience that you can have if you're using AMP. So I would love for you to give it a try. I promise this isn't just a pitch. I'm just trying to make it. I don't like to be the only person that talks about my product. So we've seen what people are going to say about it. Let's build a feature. Sound good? Shut up, Graham. Start coding. Okay, great. Sounds good. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you our internal Slack. This is Brady. It's one of our sales guys. I recently built a feature on AMP that allows me to give out credit codes, right? Instead of just giving you all, going to your accounts, you can go to amp/code/Graham and you can get, I'm sure that's actually a code. You can go ahead and get free credits to use AMP. So Brady has this problem where he's created a bunch of codes. Our little listing on the site only shows off, let's go ahead and show it. Here. So you can see like some of these codes are good, like this AI coding show and tell. I made this all for you. You'll see that later. But some of these aren't really descriptive, and so it's hard for him. Brady's created a bunch of codes. He doesn't really know what to see. So he's asked me to fix that. So let's just go ahead and fix it. Anybody else use Super Whisper? If you don't, it will change your life. Just talk to your computer. Don't type. Also, it's good for demos because I don't have to be scared and type and mess things up. Okay. Hey, when I am at the admin page for adding credit codes, we have this problem where in the listing of all the codes, am I on the right thing here? No, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, I can do this. All right. Yeah, so when I'm listing, and it also doesn't matter, I can talk all I want. Agent doesn't listen to me. So I want to be able to show the title and description for all of the AMP credit codes that get made in this listing. So can you go ahead and take a deep dive through that page, the AMP/admin/credit codes, and then look at that list there and be able to, in that list, show off the actual title and description for each code so that it's easier for people to find it. Okay, so I don't care. I just send that in. So that's just going to work. So while that works, I want to show off some other fun stuff. So this is, AMP is actually a relatively large code base, and I am an idiot, and it actually allows me to contribute to this product, which I think is really cool. But it also allows me to do what I like to do, which is build stupid, idiotic projects. So are any of you familiar with the Sydney Sweeney ad that happened a little while ago and the whole hullabaloo that happened around that. I thought of what was the dumbest thing that Sydney could possibly endorse, and it would be something that rhymes. So Sydney's Kidneys. This is a kidney exchange. So you can put in your blood type and all that sort of thing. And it was endorsed by Sydney Sweeney. So this was like a really stupid project that I got to build in 2 days. Not officially endorsed by SourceGraph. It's just a dumb thing I'd like to do for Twitter. Okay. Anybody ever seen TBPN on Twitter? The new like tech show. So there's 2 guys that have found that MSNBC isn't totally online and terminally online enough. So they've created a new show that's a 3-hour-a-day Silicon Valley tech stream, basically. So if you want to waste even more of your life, I suggest watching it. So I built Too Busy for You. And so this is an app that allows you to, you click this button, you tell it what job you do. Let's see. Protect your TBPN viewing time. Oh, it's going to ask me if I really care. No, go anyway. All right. Yes. Whatever. All right. Let's see. I didn't put my own job on here. It's called marketing manager. All right. Then protect my calendar. So what this is going to do is fill up the time on my calendar when TBPN streams with fake meetings so that I don't ever have to actually talk to people. I could just be terminally online and watch these meetings. Okay, cool. Protection activated. So that's done. This is another dumb, stupid thing that I built. Let's check on how our code's doing. All right. Okay, so it looks like this is done. I'm having trouble actually running this. So I wanted to make another thing that would just show this off for you all. So let's go back. This isn't working. All right, I tried to have it generate another QR code. So I asked it to just generate a new page for AMP where it would generate a QR code. So I'll give you all the link. I'll actually send it out so everybody can try it. So that's basically how AMP works. It's a really easy tool for being able to build really powerful software, and it's for the best engineers in the world. I wanted to show off just 2 more things if I can. Everybody cool? I have 5 minutes. So you don't have a choice, but I want to get buy-in from the audience again. So here's some other interesting things. How many of you have somebody on your team who's like totally insane with using coding agents and they have all the best tricks and they are way better at it than you? Be honest with yourself. It should be all of you. Okay, great. So we have this concept called threads. And so this is this ability to, every conversation you have with an agent is not just between you and the agent anymore. How many of you have ever like copied a conversation from you and your agent and shared it with somebody? You don't have to do that with threads. It's just everybody inside your organization can see whatever threads you want to make public inside your organization. And it's a really cool way, like we automatically add these to every commit. So you make a change, you use this thread, you add it to the commit. So not only can somebody see the changes you made, they can actually go through your whole thinking process and see how you got there. It's a really cool tool. It's also really great for junior engineers on your team so that they can see how the more senior engineers are using it. And it's also great for senior engineers who are curmudgeonly and don't want to use AI coding agents. They can see how these young people are actually committing so much and maybe quietly get up to speed on becoming a AI first coding agent person. So I would show you all of my threads, but that's deeply embarrassing. The one other thing I wanted to show off, this is this really cool thing called our leaderboard. And so if we go to all time, this is internally for AMP. So these are like, we've shipped 8 million lines of code, 177 active users. Let's see. Here's some cool stuff on here. This is Jeff Huntley. He is basically building a programming language using Gen Z slang. But he's set up the AMP terminal to just run perpetually. And so it's just doing it all on its own. And it's totally unhinged and it's really funny, but he's shipped a ton of code. This is their CTO. Lewis is great. This is Brady. This is the guy who asked that question. He's a sales guy. And he's just like driven himself to become good at coding and has actually shipped tons and tons of like features and bugs and bug reports and whatever. We've got a lot of people on our team who are actually building like valuable code. So I think that's it. Justin, did I miss anything or did I nail this? I know it. Cool. Well, I'm going to give you all 3 minutes back. I really appreciate it. I'm going to share out a link so that everybody can get the code because my QR code doesn't work, but I'll give you all some AMP credits. Please come and ask me any questions that you may have. If you're already using it, let me know so I can give you even more credits. And thanks so much. Appreciate it.
please help me welcome on stage our next speaker to talk about BAML. Please, more than that.
Hey,
Round of
everyone.
applause.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Stage is yours.
Alright. I did something really fucking dumb. I made a programming language. Why? I don't fucking know, but I kind of did it. So I'll show you guys what it is. But before I get into why we made a programming language, I just want to show you guys some stuff about what happens if we can actually trust models. Usually, I think today, if I were to go and say, hey, I'm going to trust a model with my driver's license or passport, I'm like, fuck no, it's going to fuck it up. What if it did work? What if you're the government of Cambodia and you get millions of these visa forms and you could trust a model like GPT-3.5, GPT-4o Mini to actually take this visa form and give it a second. Model demos are really slow. And take out this image, PDF, whatever it is, and actually have it, in theory, pull out all the data in real time and have it do it in a really nice structured way, in a way that's database friendly. In a way where every single time I pull out the database, I'm going to be able to say, find me everything, find me every single application where visa type is diplomatic type A. What if I could do it on, I don't know, I have a camera here. Let's see what it does. On some LaCroix, we'll have a person with expressions. And we'll see the same thing. It pulls it out. I'm smiling. It's got expressions, and it pulls it out. The models today are really fucking good. If you're not able to use them, it's your problem, not the models. The problem is, so was code for a long time. It turned out JavaScript was really fucking good, except not really, because you needed tooling like TypeScript to make it actually work. That's the premise behind what we designed. It's that models, as good as they are really going to be held back by the developer tooling that you have today to be able to ship production-ready systems with them. That's why everything when it comes to the model world feels like this. And I hate slides. I'm a coder. So like I promise, 3 slides and we're done. We're going to go straight to code. But when I go and like talk to regular software, imagine GitHub goes down 5% of the time. That company would never have lifted off at all. It would be nowhere. Software doesn't work like that. But I'm going to change one word really fast. And I think we'll all feel differently. You change that word from API to LLM, and suddenly we're all surprised that this thing works. We're surprised that it's actually good. We're happy with it. I think, fuck that. We're not going to do that. We can't build software with 5% failure rates as a happiness path. We got to build software with 9s of reliability. That's how we all work. The problem is, when you actually build software with the LLMs, you don't get 9s of reliability. You guys have probably seen, let's see if I have this. You guys have probably seen prompts that look something like this. Anyone have seen code like this? Let me zoom in a little bit. Where you got a bunch of F strings that you smash together. Maybe you call some APIs, and this is what your code looks like. To me, what this really feels like is this. Remember when we wrote websites like this? This is fucking crap. Sorry for my language. I really hate ugly code. This is a lot better. And the reason that React is a lot better for all you non-front-end people is that it gave you a couple of things on top of this. It gave you pretty colors, which are really, really nice. It gave you static analysis. If you forgot the slash here, it yells at you before you ship your website, not after you ship it. And lastly, it's able to do optimizations that you could never do at this stage. You could never use state and have it just work. You'd have to write a whole bunch of voodoo magic and hope that this worked. That's exactly why Facebook made React. Their old websites look like this, and they realized they would break all the time. And they said, let's do something a lot more systematic. That's the exact same problem with this prompt. It's not systematically done. It's hubbed together in a way that isn't maintainable and is going to... I look at this as code that can't live past 5 years. When I think about it, what we really want when we write these systems is we want systems that allow us to use the benefits and the beauty of these models. We want them to be able to use the English and the natural language capabilities they have. But we also want the beauty of code. That is what gives us the 9s of reliability. You've probably seen some of these frameworks. Anyone have seen any of these AI frameworks? There's a really great blog post by this guy named Hamel Hussein, by this guy named Hamel Hussein called "FU Show Me the Prompt." Go Google it. And the whole point of this is like all that really matters in the model is like what is the input, what is the output. If you can't get the input and output, it's like writing React code and not being able to actually see the HTML. You can't do it. You need to see the prompt to be able to go do it. And if you have to write a proxy layer just to capture the prompt, like what the hell? You can't write code like that. So like what is the new world? Well, I'm going to show you. And I promise I don't actually use light mode, but for visibility's sake, I will. All right. So the whole point of BAML, and BAML is our programming language. It stands for basically a made-up language, because that's what it is. The whole point of BAML is you turn everything into functions. I have a function that is called extract resume. It takes in a parameter called resume. The parameter can be a string or a PDF. I have a return type called the resume. Resume, as you can see, is a data type that's described in code. You then define, unlike regular code, you then define what model you want to go use it with. So this function is implemented using OpenAI GPT-4o. You can use any model I want. And then you write the prompt. Then you write some test cases down here. What's really cool is we give you tooling so you can actually see the prompt right here in real time. If I edit my test case, it pops in. And you can see it happen in real time. You can see the raw web request that we're actually making under the hood. So there's 0 layers of abstraction. You can actually see what client I'm using. In this case, I'm using GPT-4o Mini. Let's use something that's slightly better. In this case, what I'm going to start using is I'm going to use GPT-4o Mini, and if it fails 3 times, I'm going to switch over to Sonnet. You get full visibility on exactly what's happening. But the best part is you can actually just run your tests. So now, instead of hoping that stuff is good, you get to actually see it. Did I not sign my API key? Oops. That's a rookie mistake. There you go. All right. Sorry, I didn't send my Anthropic API key there. All right. So right over here, you can see that the model actually spit out the answer. And it's able to say, from this text, it's filled out the resume data model. What if I wanted to do better? What if I wanted the model to do some reasoning? Well, normally I'd have to do a lot of work, but now I just tell the model, before answering, list out 3 reasons why you think this is a good resume. Example. And you're noticing Cursor's pretty good at filling out BAML code. It's because the models already know BAML. So I'm going to go run this prompt again. And now you'll see the model is spitting out some reasoning as it does it, and now it's spitting out the data model. But what you got out was purely the data model. You did 0 work, you got out exactly what you wanted without having to think about it. Let's go even further. No quotes around strings, around keys. Now I'm going to run this test again. Now when I go run this test, you'll see that the thing I'm getting here isn't even valid JSON. It's not even close. The thing I'm getting here has no quotation marks anywhere over here, and it still works. That's because we built the best way to get structured data out of any model. You can do this with any model off the bat without fine-tuning anywhere. So models that don't support tool calls suddenly do. Models that you previously couldn't use because the quality was bad suddenly have better. We have multiple Fortune 50s government agencies using us that have brought their costs down by 90% because they could move to using 1B models in pod. And that wasn't possible before because you're spending so much time just trying to iterate. In a matter of a few seconds, I was able to just go change the prompt, and you all could also see the results of what happened to see if the model got better. Well, I have a PDF over here. I can just see the PDF really fast. I can just send this to the model and see how well this does. The whole point of BAML is to make it so that your iteration loop when you work with prompting is as fast as your web development loop when you work with React. When you write web dev code, you change your React code, you look at the web, you hit Command S, you look at the page, it's reloaded. You don't have to re-navigate to the page, it just works. If it takes you, let's say 100 seconds to iterate on one prompt at a time, or like a minute to iterate on a prompt to test it, and it takes you 100 prompts to find the best prompt, that's 100 minutes to find the best prompt. You're going to give up before you find the best prompt. If it takes you 5 seconds, that's 500 seconds. That's less than 10 minutes. You're going to find the best prompt. And that's the whole point of BAML. You can build real production systems. But at some point, y'all are probably going to be like, okay, this BAML shit is kind of weird. Maybe I want to look at it, maybe not. But like my app's not in BAML, it's in Python or Go. Like how much do I have to learn? Well, that's one thing we put a lot of effort into with BAML. We want it to be possible for you to write your AI part in BAML and nothing else. So what you end up doing is you're able to very, very easily write the rest of your code like this. From BAML client, import B. Resume equals b.extract. And you're seeing it autocomplete in real time. What does extract resume take in Python? It takes in a string or a PDF type because I told it that. Resume.experience. Resume.experience is guaranteed to be a list of strings. Why? Because I told it that in my BAML code. If I change this to be a class of experiences instead, well, my Python code is going to reflect that perfectly. It's going to be a list of experiences. So you get type safety for free without having to do this. But you do this not just in Python. We do this for you in every single programming language out there. So no matter what language you use, if you write BAML code, you're able to use it in Python, TypeScript, Ruby, Java, Go, C++. You don't have to worry about it. You can write your agent part in BAML, and you can write the rest of your code in the language you love and choose. So you don't have to use Python. You can choose to. But just because you use AI doesn't mean you have to use Python. Why does this work? Right over here, you're seeing extract resume. This field in resume is full name. So of course, my TypeScript code is yelling at me and saying resume doesn't have a name field. Let's change it. I've now made a name field, and my TypeScript errors and my Python errors have all gone away. Because BAML works with any language out there without you having to do any work. The other nice part is streaming. I've showed you one demo here, but I think one interesting thing to think about is we all know ChatGPT can generate recipes. But what if you could do slightly better? What if you could ask it to generate a recipe, and while it's generating, you can interact with it? This is really fucking easy, but it's really fucking hard if you don't have a type system. BAML makes this really easy. The way we make this really easy for you is we give you types while you stream. So when you're streaming, everything here becomes a stream type. So name while streaming becomes optional. Name when you're done becomes a string. So now your React code can just use the optional version of string and render it. You can do whatever you want. It's very easy to go build that out. If you decide that, hey, even when I'm streaming, I want name to be done, well, we can just say that. No. And now, name, even while streaming, is guaranteed to be done. So you get full control over the type system, so you can build out the things you want without having to do any work along the way. I can show a lot more weird things, but I always like people asking questions while I'm talking. I know we're not supposed to. I'll let people ask. Yeah, that's the best part. So I can ask Cursor to go right. Let's just do this. I guess I just did this right now, so it just made this for me. This is through Cursor. It wrote this code for me. Part of our design process in making BAML is what we do is we take all new syntax that we invent, we run it by like a 70B model, and if it understands it, we let it fly. Then we send it out to 70 freshmen in college and see if they understand it. And if they understand it, then we know the syntax is really clean. So models can usually do it without any training. What do you mean? Oh, how do you do evals? Well, yeah, the way that we do evals in BAML is you just write them. And now I just wrote an eval for every test case. A lot of model evals are usually vibe evals. So what we say is vibe eval as much of it as you can. And then whatever you can know for sure, go write strong asserts. But the problem with writing asserts with evals is it's like front-end testing. The more tests you add for front-end code, the more cumbersome it is for you to change it. So it's a trade-off of any kind. If you're Google and you're working on like the cloud page, or if you're GitHub, you have the login button, you have any of these buttons, you better test that the login button is always there on the homepage. But most people are going to be slowed down by evals rather than sped up. And those are designed. The way you do that today is you write it in, you can write like PyTest code for your, like you can still use these as regular Python functions. So you can just write a PyTest or a jest code for calling this function and have another LLM function that calls this secondarily. I'll show you guys something cool that I guess we're going to be doing. I think we've all seen like graph programming for LLMs. You've probably seen graph libraries and everything that do that. I think the visuals that they provide are really freaking cool, but fuck me if I'm gonna write a graph code base. There's a reason we use if statements and everything else, not like branches in our code to go do that, because it's really hard to go navigate those systems. So what we're gonna let you do soon is you're able to write your regular code downstream like this, and from the code we can just produce the graph automatically and have you render it without you having to do any extra work. It's possible because we invented our own syntax. The way that this works is you'll be able to use like markdown headers as a part of your code blocks to basically build nesting along the way. And we'll be able to connect this with a debugger, so you can actually like hit breakpoints and everything else all here as well. So you should see this coming pretty soon, hopefully in another 2 weeks. Yeah, you can use it with any system. It's just functions. So because everything is just a function, you can always use any function in any system. So like b.stream extract resume is just a TypeScript function. The whole backend of BAML is built in Rust, so it's really, really fast. And we don't have 7 implementations of 7 languages. It's the same Rust core across the board. So it's incredibly consistent. Yeah, I can show you tools in a second. Give me one more thing really fast. That's the whole point of BAML is this: less F strings, less prompting, more engineering, more type safety. And I think that leads to maintainable type-safe code bases. BAML is completely open source. I want you to stop writing prompts that look like this and be able to write systems that you're going to look at and be proud of and be happy with. I'll leave you with one thing, which is we made a programming language. I get that. It's really daunting. It's really scary. We genuinely appreciate every single person that has ever given it a shot and given us feedback. BAML is where it is today because of every single person that's contributed and helped us out. We spent the first 9 months with 10 people using the language. It was scary, to say the least. We now have thousands with tons of Fortune 100s and government agencies using us. High school kids use us to build things. We have companies doing millions of dollars in revenue, petabytes of data processing it. That said, we made a language. I know it's scary. If you have any questions, you run into any problems, we will fix the problem on Discord. You ping us, this is our response time for the last 1,000 messages. We respond within 5 minutes to 51% of messages, 24 hours a day. We're obsessed with what we do. We love building this tech. We love clean code. That's the only thing we're trying to do here. Like, give everyone beautiful code. If some of this was kind of interesting, that's my LinkedIn, which I will probably respond on, but that's our GitHub. And that will take you to our Discord and everything else. If I don't respond to you on LinkedIn, literally just tag me on Discord. I check Discord, as you can tell, way more than I check anything else. We've got a team of crazy people working on this. It's a wild journey. If any of you ever give it a shot, would love to hear anything. Like, if you try it out and it sucks, tell us. It will make it better for next time. And if you try it out and you love it, tell us too. It makes us feel good. But that's it for BAML. Thank you, guys. I will show you the agent thing later. It's on our docs. If you go check it out. If you look up agent, it will show it too. Thank you, guys. Also,
So you presented yourself. So I'm going to skip the presentation and jump right in with a question that, a subject that a lot of people have been talking about lately. GPT-5 was recently released. And it has had some very polarizing opinions. Some people love it, some people hate it. So please tell me what you guys think about it.
Yeah, I really like it. So here's the thing. I was not expecting AGI. Apparently other people were expecting AGI, what do we call artificial general intelligence. I don't really want AGI to happen. That seems like horrible. And given like the forces that are currently powerful right now, like I don't think that'd be particularly a good idea. I just need a model to be able to, handle like agentic scenarios and also to do retrieval augmented generation RAG to be able to answer questions based off of context. So I just want a model that can synthesize information and figure out the right response and the right next action. GPT-5 is very good at that. It's very good at following instructions. It has way less hallucinations. Actually, haven't found any hallucinations for it yet myself. You got some? All right. Well, I have actually run like hundreds of evaluations on it in the last week, and I published a blog post with them on using it for RAG, and it's doing really it's got less hallucinations than any model I've seen, which is all I want, actually, is for models to not make
What about coding?
Oh, for coding. I have also, it is now my default model for GitHub Copilot, because I've been using Claude Sonnet like 4 for the last few months. Like I kept trying to use GPT-4.1, but it just wasn't working. It didn't want to do anything. It didn't have the confidence, and it had like imposter syndrome or something. So, but GPT-5 is very, it's a lot better at taking instruction, and so it's my new default model, and I haven't had any issues with it. Actually, the main issue, this sounds like not a big issue. The main issue is that for some reason, GPT-5 loves smart quotes. So we've got ASCII quotes, which are like straight up and down, and then we have smart quotes, which are curly, and they require like a special keyboard setting and Unicode code point. And so I think they must have trained GPT-5 on either synthetic data or published books or something like that, because when you ask GPT-5 to output anything that has a quote in it, it almost always does a smart quote, which is fine if you're doing it for like literary stuff. But if you're using it for coding, like a coding agent, some people have had issues where it calls the tool and it calls it using a smart quote, which isn't.
And what about EM dashes? Like,
Oh,
does it follow instructions when you tell it to not use EM dashes for?
I haven't
God's
tried because
sake?
I don't care.
Yeah, not try if you don't care. Okay. And what do you guys think?
Well, I haven't tried GPT-5 for coding. Actually, I'm using Claude most of the time. So I read basically all the drama online about GPT-5 and how not smart it is. All of that. I think honestly, the way I use LLMs is I use Claude for coding on one side, or Cursor, depends on what I'm working on, and then I use ChatGPT on the other side with basically whatever model I have. I actually quite enjoyed a lot O3 since some time ago, but then I honestly, when I'm using it for like various things, including some technical research. And I mean, it's great. I think people are expecting way too much from LLMs, and like, oh no, it's not AGI, it sucks. I mean, it's actually a huge model that I think probably nobody is using at full potential. At least that's how I see it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's great. Also, I really I enjoyed reading about this new architecture with the router and several models behind, and the way it's architecture, I think is really nice. I want to see where that will go, and it's great. So no complaint, at least from me. And I actually tried, I don't know if you saw somewhere, like the blueberry, how many bees in blueberry? I tried that actually, and it failed. And it was funny. So that's the only thing, that's the only smart eval that I failed.
Okay. What about you? Did you try it? Do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's like the old joke that like people complain about slow internet on airplanes. It's like you complain about a magic thinking being in your computer. It's fine. And I think that from a coding perspective, we know at DAMP that it takes a lot to get the most out of these models, and so to expect it to work day one in your whatever your preferred coding agent is, which is clearly AMP, it's not gonna, clearly, obviously, you all heard about it tonight, and now it's your favorite. But no, I think to expect that is unreasonable. But I personally, I think it's slower. I think it makes less mistakes, so for some stuff, I've mostly been using it. And in AMP, we have this idea of like a Oracle. So you can, instead of, some things have like thinking mode or planning mode. In AMP, you just say, hey, Oracle, what do you think about da 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 da? And we haven't switched that part of it out yet. I'm actually really excited for that, because that's really what I think it's going to be great at. But for coding, it's plenty good. But then the million token context window came out today, and now all of a sudden, I don't know, it's like that meme of like AMP is no longer, or Sonnet's no longer my best friend, now best friends with GPT-5. So I'm back and forth. That meme could go both ways for me.
What about you?
My opinion, I think my opinion on most models is, I think the improvement that we're seeing from previous model iteration and new ones are just getting smaller and smaller. That said, sometimes you can't, it's very emergent in terms of what capabilities are. So what I find is, I find my brain getting locked in really quickly of like, oh, models can't do that. Models can't do that. And I think that's actually the pattern that we all have to break. So what I do is, I just spend the first 10 minutes of every time a model comes out, and no matter what the task is, I spend 10 minutes trying to use a model for it. And I try to use the latest model to build a muscle for how that model behaves. GPT-5, personally, I don't think I have felt it has pushed the boundary of what it does any further than like the other existing models that I used in any meaningful way, at least for the tasks that I use it for. I know for a lot of people that use GPT-5, that tried GPT-5 in like the scenarios that they tried into, they saw like a slight boost in evals for their own use case, like legal healthcare kind of scenarios, but nothing in like that was substantive and like mind-blowing. But the quote thing is something the BAML parser fixes. So you should try that.
It would, yeah.
Okay. So now back to coding agents. What would you say are the most impactful advancements you've seen recently in coding agents? And how have these advancements impacted the day-to-day work of developers?
I can't answer this. I'm totally biased.
Unbiased opinions.
I think what I found is I think the most underlooked capability of all these systems is actually not the model or even the agentic system that they have, but actually at the UX that they expose. So I think Claude Code was the first one to expose like a new paradigm of how you work with coding agents. The fact that you can press enter and just holds the message there until it's ready to process it is a really novel way of thinking about working with AI systems because you're basically enqueuing tasks. And what's really interesting about that UX is like you can actually edit the task while you're going on because you see the model drifting in a different way. So before it accepts it, you can go edit it. And that interaction paradigm, in my opinion, has been like the biggest novel breakthrough. And that's kind of what Cursor did. I think Cursor added a new way to interact with AI models. And that's why it blew up. I think Claude Code is blowing up for the same way. So I think like UX is like actually the answer to making really good agentic systems. If anyone's building a startup, reinvent the UX.
Yeah, no, it's clearly Claude Code has reinvented what we thought was possible with textual UIs. Clearly, I'm a big fan. Like I've been a big fan of like command line and textual UIs for a long time. But when Claude Code was released, it was like, oh my god, this is a new paradigm. Clearly, it's amazing. Any other opinions?
So I think there's two main types of coding agents or main ways of interacting. One of them is like the terminal one, and also kind of container use. Like you go off, you send off your request. You could do multiple in parallel, and then you're like reviewing it as a diff or a pull request, right? So with that, I think that's cool. The main way I've used that is by when I'm triaging issues in a GitHub repo and I don't have time, I just assign it to Copilot and hope and pray and see. and I've got a good idea now for which issues it can tackle and which it can't. And it'll basically like start up a containerized environment and try to tackle it on its own. So there's like the async, parallel, queued up, and then review after model. The other model is like really trying to like have it act as you inside the editor and have access to all the tools you would have inside your editor. And so there you kind of give it more like, kind of has more access to the UI. Like, so yesterday I set it up in GitHub Copilot in VS Code where the agent can actually start up this compound task that starts up the front end and the back end in two terminals. It knows when they're ready. They've got hot reloading enabled, and the agent can actually see the output from the terminals. So that means the agent could just like do the same thing as me, which is like make some edits, wait for the hot reload, check to see if there's errors, and keep going, right? So it's getting this like live feedback. And so that I think is like, it's just like it's a different way of interacting. I think that's can be really powerful as well, depending on what kind of task you're working on. Ultimately, what would be really fun, right now they don't have access to this, but imagine your agent can even use breakpoint debugging, and it's like doing the breakpoint debugger, because that's how I work through like really hard problems sometimes, is breakpoint debugging. Sometimes right now, if you ask an agent, it'll add a bunch of print statements, which is horrible. So I'm excited about that. So I feel like there's these two ways of interacting. One is like the, async, and the other one with like the full on, it's pair programming with you and seeing everything you're seeing. And I think they're both really powerful, but we need to learn how to like push them to the limit, right?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think background agents, what you're talking about, the async, that's what I think is the most exciting thing. I think we actually talked about this when we met, that like software engineering is going to sort of start getting a support type model where like tier 1 support is just the background agent, and like every issue will just get assigned to a background agent, and then it either gets a pull request or it doesn't, and then you'll move on from there. So I think that's incredibly powerful. And also sub agents. Anybody use sub agents yet, where you can sort of say like, instead of using one context window on a whole problem, you could say like, here's the prompt, I want you to tackle this, and then break it up into multiple sub agents so that it can handle different parts. And it's more efficient, and it sort of allows for less drift when you're dealing with it.
Well, are you referring to the Claude Agents feature or something else?
Of course, I'm not. I'm referring
What
to
are you referring to?
referring to AMP subagents. I don't even hear the word you said just now. It's like it's been erased from my brain. But no,
you
a
know
lot of other
the
people
guys who invented the whole thing. So what are
IBM
sub agents?
IBM invented the mainframe, and nobody uses the IBM computer. So
That is true. That is true. So what are sub agents?
Sub-agents are just a way to, instead of using your entire context window on one whole task, you can, or spinning up multiple agents, you can say, hey, you as the agent, break this up into smaller tasks and assign those smaller tasks to a sub-agent. And so it gives that large task multiple context windows instead of you having to manage all of it. It's not an async agent. It's just a way to let your agent.
It's delegation basically.
Yeah, exactly.
When one agent delegates to we had a few prototypes using sub agents with a hierarchy like that of routing, and it's still a bit clunky, but the pattern at least exists, and I know Crew AI and some frameworks like that are pushing it.
And do they share the same code base?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. No, because it would be interesting to see how that would interact with container use, like working on different branches. But okay. And I have not heard you guys talk about the one thing which has, I don't know, struck me as a huge innovation we've seen recently is simply the task list. Because in Cursor, maybe they had something like this, but it was not apparent, it was not surfaced. But the way it was surfaced for the first time, I think, in Claude, it just, I don't know, it's just so clean, so well designed, so well presented, and like an eye under the hood into the brain of the AI on how it thinks, how it plans. Is the feature which I think was one of the biggest innovation we've seen recently in coding agents. And you were talking about collaboration. I was wondering, what do you think about, where do I have that question? Oh, yeah. What do you think about driving multiple coding agents concurrently, and specifically, how do you monitor them? How do they ask for questions? Is they need assistance? Because, yeah, we are tempted to like delegate, and while we wait for one coding agent to finish something, to ask multiple to work at the same time. But what's your opinion on this? Like, how do you as a developer, handling like a team of coding agents working at the same time, how do you handle that?
Well, I have this crazy script that will actually automatically create like 100 issues and assign them to Copilot. And that's because like I have a repo addiction, and I've got like 300 repos that I'm trying to maintain at the same time. And like I have to like this week I got to upgrade all of them to the latest OpenAI Python package in order to get the GPT-5 new parameter support. So I've got like, I can automatically assign, across 100 repos, like say, all right, you got to upgrade the OpenAI package, right? And then my inbox gets completely flooded by Copilot going like, please review, please review, please review, please review. And then I have to do a lot of reviews.
That is very cool.
So yeah, but I have a new problem, which is how do I manage all those pull requests? And my best approach is to have CI on my repos that actually test the repo, because if the CI passes, great. I'll briefly look at the code after the 100th one. They all look the same. But if the CI passes, then, and if I've got 100% coverage and all that stuff, then, okay, great, I can merge it. So my approach is to actually test my code.
It also changes the CI quite a lot, right? That's a problem we see, because we are helping companies scale their CI with Dagger, and with AI, actually, we see more and more generated code everywhere, actually including in our team. And the problem we see exactly with what you mentioned, there is a lot more code that's going into the CI, and it becomes actually even more a bottleneck and it was already a bottleneck before. And so I see that as being I think it's just the beginning of the problem, and I think we're going to have to leverage agents to actually scale the CI, and not just generate code and push that to the traditional CI. So yeah, I think does not answer the question directly, but I thought it was relevant to what you just said.
I think a lot of people have like a expectation that suddenly we're going to manage hundreds of agents. but I've met very few managers that can manage teams of 5 very well. And I think it's just a learned skill set. So if some of you are like going from managing 0 people to suddenly trying to manage 10 agents, it's unlikely that you'll have immediate success. So I think actually the best way to do it is to naturally scale yourself up. Like a good director or M2 would scale you up the first time you're a manager. What I find is very helpful is a new thing that we've been trying, which is you have 3 checkouts of the repo at any time. You have 1 checkout of the repo that you're actively working on for your main thing, which is you'll use Cursor, coding agents, Cloud Code, doesn't really matter, but you're actively engaging with that. You have 1 repo that's purely for just checkout that you're just running on the background and like burning credits, trying to solve issues with it. And you just throw away stuff that doesn't work all the time. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, you throw it away. And then you have another repo that you have that's for what I would call like really big moonshot ideas, trying to push the limits of the models. And I think what that allows you to do is you can context switch when you want. You're going out for lunch, make sure in that second repo you kick off a task every single time you go out for lunch. And just come back and look at it. And it's a really easy transition point where you're not context switching. And I think as you scale up, you can get to a point where you can actually manage 10, 20 of these. But I think doing that on day 1 or day 2 is for most people is a really, really bad idea.
If you think of them as, like interns, a lot of times it's like, oh, your intern, you might give a task to an intern and then realize you didn't give them enough information. So like when I go and I assign a bunch of issues to Copilot, I've usually already done a test issue in 1 repo to check it works. And then I'll go and assign the same one to 30 other repos. Or for example, like I just had 15 PRs that failed. It was upgrading NPM packages, which is the worst thing in the world and will probably just never happen. I'll be on React 4 or whatever forever. But they all failed. So I'm just going to close all of those and start over and give it some better instructions, right? Like, so sometimes you have to be like, well, clearly the agent does not have enough information about how to properly do this. It needs more information. Maybe it needs an MCP server. Maybe it needs the Playwright MCP server, right? So yeah, so sometimes you throw it all out, you give it better instruction, you start over.
Scorched earth.
Speaking of MCP servers, what's your go-to MCP server? Like, is there? Sorry. Of course, continuous. And so, are there other MCP servers that you find are maybe not very well known that you think should deserve some attention?
GitHub. I mean, I actually don't even use that many MCP servers, right? I use the GitHub MCP server. That helps me with repo management. So I have like a prompt that helps me find stale issues and close them. That's a really nice prompt for me to try and get my issues count down. And then the Playwright MCP server. So I'm actually pretty minimalist when it comes to MCP server. And of course, I have a weather MCP server because you have to always be able to ask your IDE what the weather is. No, because that's the demo for everything. But yeah, I actually have very few MCP servers in my life. I'm still.
What about you guys?
I was just going to say Playwright. It's the first time I used it, I was like, where's this been in my life? So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think MCP is that good right now. I think it's just like.
Oh, that is a controversial opinion. Okay, I want to hear more about it.
Well, I don't know if that's controversial. Not a lot of people use MCP from what I saw, but I think the reason is just like software has bake time, and like there's just not enough bake time for software to be good. Like Cursor was not as good on day 1 as it is today, and there's just a smaller set of people that use it today. So like, it's not that MCP is bad. It's just like the code behind the MCP servers is just new. And it's just not good enough yet. So like my use case is really, I have a high bar for software, so I'm not going to use it because most code is new.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are a lot of MCP servers out there that were just like fire and forget. Yeah, for sure. And what I found in my experience of using various MCP server, usually the MCP server is as good as the API behind it, which is why I think the one from GitHub or there is one from Notion, or anytime you need to access an API and you need some better integration with your agent, it's actually convenient to use MCP. But if the API behind sucks, or the MCP server will suck, and won't be super useful. So yeah.
Okay, well, we are right on time. Well, thank you very much for answering those questions. And I was gonna forget. Oh my God! Today I keep forgetting things. I want to give the opportunity. Let's take 5 more minutes on the networking to answer questions that you guys might have. Do we have questions? Oh, one question over there. Oh, one more question about Bamel, maybe?
So you guys talked about like how you assign this just a copilot or like any background agent, and how do you actually make these agents develop features and write tests that pass CI reliably?
Just wondering, is your mic connected? I'm not hearing you very well.
So you said when we assign these issues, how do we get the agents to write code that works and like write tests that works and passes CI?
You have better ears than I do.
Yeah. So I'm only working with GitHub, so I have a copilot-instructions.md inside the repo that has all the instructions for the agent about how to work with the repo. All of the agents have different ones. They're trying to standardize on agents.md. So hopefully we'll be able to have an agents.md in every repo that tells the agent how to do it. Now it's interesting because now I feel like I have better documentation for agents using my repo than for users using my repo, developers. And so hopefully there's like some way that we could, keep those in sync, like our developer facing docs and our agent facing docs. This is like this new field is like coding agent optimization. You have to optimize your repos for coding agents. And so, right now there's different formats for all of them. There is a tool called Ruler. It's on NPM, which will convert into all the different formats like Claude, agents, etc. But yeah, so that's what I do is like I will try a change and see how Copilot does. If it doesn't do a good job, that means I need to update the instructions. You could even have it auto update the instructions. I think Cedric does a little bit of that, right? So you could say like, hey, while you're working on that, let's like update this instruction file in order to be better. So that's my plan right now is just to tell it, here is how you write a good test that passes. And, sometimes that means telling it which MCP server tools to use. So give it as much information as possible.
Okay. I'd like to give the opportunity to somebody else to ask a question, if that's okay. I see one over there.
Yeah, so I had a question about like if you have like a really large repository with a lot of dependencies, and you want to like give a task to an agent, let's say. So how do you guys like provide context regarding all the types and different repository with like you have a lot of dependencies and they might touch a lot of those dependencies. So how do you provide the context?
We've probably got like maybe like 500,000 lines of code now in our repo, and it sometimes struggles with that. And I think it used to struggle a lot more, but I think the best analogy is just like think about like onboarding a new person onto your team and how long it takes them, and you can make that process a lot better. So for example, we just spent 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks redoing our build system to make it way better. And our repo is complex. We have 7 different languages. We have every single, most of it's Rust, and agents are not that good. Models are not that good at Rust. There's reasons for that, but and what we found is just like restructuring everything to make it like human readable. Your paths, your file name paths. So for example, like if you use Next.js, everything is called page.tsx. There's like 50 million page.tsx in your site. It's just going to struggle with that. So how do you do that? Make sure your folder names are actually good. And not everyone does that. And small things like that. Make sure your file names are actually good. That's really going to be a huge unlock to go do that. Refactor your code base to actually be readable and human navigatable. And lastly, I think not a lot of people spend enough time building test infra. So like alluding to the first question, like actually spend time building test infra to integration test different parts of your system, especially if you're like a backend service of some kind. And the reason for that is because then the model can work iteratively. When you say something is not working, you can actually make it write a test case that first fails, and then you stage that in your GitHub repo. So stage it so you actually have a checkpoint, and then iterate on that until it goes. But the models do really well once you name stuff well.
Okay, thank you very much. So I want to, thank you very much. A big round of applause.